And we're back. I just hope that the first part of that clip saves to my Instagram, saves it to my camera roll. Hey guys, and welcome back for take 2. Let's try this again. Let's see if we can get Craig on here, and hopefully there will be some audio. And guys, just let me know if you have audio or not. Let me see if I can find Craig yet. There he is. Okay, take 2. Let's try this again. Hi guys. Yes, fingers crossed. What are the chances of a Hey Arnold reboot? Well, I think you guys, if you're interested in a Hey Arnold reboot, then you would want to message Nickelodeon and see if they will bring it back. And if you guys have any questions, Thomas, if you have a question or anybody else, go ahead and put it in the little box down there. And yeah, hi guys, thanks for joining. It's good to see your avatars. Hi, Jonathan. We're just waiting for Craig, so fingers crossed this solves the problem and there isn't any further issues. The Thomas and Friends reboots, yeah. Round 2, I'm down to do what it takes to make you understand I'm the candy man. All right, you know what, it does seem, okay, it says Craig is unable to join. Let me try it one more time. And thanks you guys for standing by. I know technical difficulties are not the most fun. So cross your fingers this time. Let's see. Hey, Jeff, it's good to see you. Hey, Jim Tasker. Oh, they're also reviving Ren and Stimpy. I did not know that. Hi.
Ta-da.
I hear you.
Sorry, I don't know where I went.
But I hear you, but I heard you before. So can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can hear Craig now? Just so that I know that our audio is okay. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. We're back.
It was funny. My husband actually ran in. He was watching from inside the house, I guess. And he's like, the audio's not working. So thank you.
Oh, I know. I said really great stuff, too. It's terrible.
Oh, gosh. That story was amazing. I'm just hoping that that it saves to my camera roll so that I can upload.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So where do you want to take it from? Yeah.
What's that?
Where do you want
that I arrived at Klasky Chupo.
All right.
That Paul Germain was the guy who got me in there. Paul had worked on the Simpson Minutes.
Oh, okay.
With Klasky Chupo, when the Tracy Ullman Show was a new show, and there were those little 1-minute Simpsons that really had that matte graining design, and broke in all those people, all the artists. There was a crew of like 4, and they were all great, and included Wes Archer and David Silverman and God, I can't remember who the third guy was, but they were sitting in a tiny office in the Hollywood Flats making those Simpson Minutes, and Paul Germain, who was producing those, got hired by Klasky and Chupo to try to develop shows. So the 3 of them, Rugrats was their first try. And they took it to Nickelodeon in New York, which was in its infancy of the Nicktoons were just being created. And it was Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, and Doug were the 3 shows. And as soon as they got started, they made that pilot with Peter Chung. And as soon as they got started, Paul had me come in, and Klasky and Chupo hired me because I had a 1-year-old and I could type. And I did that first season with Paul. I met a lot of people there who, sooner or later would come work on Hey Arnold. And, that time where Simpsons and Klasky Chupo were up and down the block from each other in 1990, that was a really heady time. It was the Wild West. And, I'm glad people loved Rugrats when it came out because it was very funky, I thought. When it won the Emmy that first year for Best Kids Cartoon, I was like, you're kidding. It's so lumpy, it's like, it's really grotesque almost. And we were all doing our best, man. We were trying. I mean, I directed the last episode of that season, Graham Canyon and Stu Maker's Elves, that episode. And I was the first-time director, man. I hadn't done that before. So it was like, please like our show. And it did great. It was very well received. And truly beloved. Kids grew up to be adults. They still love Rugrats.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to come back. It's going to be so fun. But then was that your first writing gig?
Yeah, it was. I had not written any screenplays before then, so I had to learn how to write on the job, and I didn't really tell people. and you know, it's one of those deals, man. The place was like that. Everybody was kind of like having their first crack at everything. I thought it really felt like we were all a bunch of kids trying to figure out how to make a cartoon. Even though, like I said, I wasn't really a kid. I was already like 30, but you know.
Did you have a favorite character on Rugrats?
I like Stu, and Arlene kind of called me Stu because she thought I kind of had that. I had Stu hair in those days, and I kind of liked. I thought that was sort of funny that the adults were such a bunch of buffoons. You know, it was very fun to write for Stu and Dee Dee and the other grown-ups because they're sort of self-congratulatory. You know, if you watch those early shows, they're kind of like, man, we're the best. You know, we're just so good for our kids, and we really take good care of our kids. And the deal was, as soon as they'd start, the adults would always start something and get distracted, and the Rugrats would run off and then be gone for the rest of the episode. So that was at least that's how the show started. It was like, what can happen that distracts the parents away from what Tommy and Chucky and Phil and Lil and Angelica are doing, and then they'll just kind of go under the furniture and disappear. Which I really enjoyed. I thought that I really remember that POV of when being so small that I could see the underside of the kitchen table and like a bunch of adult legs, you know, under the chairs. And I just remember being like that, being really tiny. And do you remember when you were a kid in a crowd, you were like 4 years old and you tugging on someone's coat and it wasn't your dad? And you're like, no, oh my God, where's my dad? You know, that aspect of childhood, I can remember that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, hiding under like when you would go clothes shopping with your mom and you'd be like hiding under the clothes racks. I took my son into a store the other day and he was just like, went to go do that. And like, I turned around, I was like, COVID, get out, don't touch anything. You know, it really generationally, I mean, it's so different.
Yeah,
like
the era of helicopter
parents.
And you can take the kids out and lose them somewhere. Yeah,
I'm
terrible.
like my parents, you know, we would just go run in the woods. We would just be like in the woods. But yeah. So you were at Nick and how long?
I wonder when that, you know, because I remember that by the time I had kids, it seemed like life was more. Oh, sorry, Alicyn.
Are you back?
Oh, now Allison's frozen.
Oh no.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. We got a little delay. I don't know. Mercury.
Go ahead, ask the question again, Alicyn.
Well, so where I was headed was, okay, so you're at Nick and you've had this idea for Hey Arnold kind of kicking around. How did you get the opportunity to then pitch it as a show?
The word went out when we were working on Rugrats, I guess, that Mary Harrington was going to run the West Coast animation operation for Nickelodeon, and they wanted all the actors are, and Mary got set up in her office, and she had started Rocco Modern Life with Joe Murray. We just came in, all of the writers from Rugrats came in and met with her, and we really thought all of us would just be like a production entity. We thought, well, the six of us can create shows, and that didn't seem to make any sense to Mary. She wanted, you know, one person to be a show creator, and she saw, it happened to be at that meeting, I had on my little sample reel my claymation, and it had Arnold Escapes from Church, the very first claymation Arnold short I had made on my own when I first moved. And she was like, who's this guy? I want this. And I said, well, he's Arnold. And I had a magazine, a Simpsons Illustrated magazine, that it had an Arnold comic that I had drawn for the magazine, a little one of those kind of 8-panel Sunday Funnies kind of gag. And I showed Mary that comic, and it had at the last panel, Arnold was like screaming, and she thought that drawing was so funny. She said, "This, I want this," And so it was kind of funny. All of us went to meet with Mary and pitch her our ideas. And the meeting ended with her saying, "Thanks, everybody. Craig, you stick around." Like she said, "I want you to come back in and talk to me about this Arnold guy." So that one meeting with Mary led to everything happening. It took about a year. Let's see, I saw her in the summer of August 93, and by the next fall in 94, just before 1995, I had made the pilot. They made some other ones, they tested them, and they wanted to make Hey Arnold. So January 1995 we started, and then didn't stop for about 7 years.
Wow.
So
and I think
it was a long haul.
Yeah. Something that's so special is, okay, so 7 years, but that was how long ago now? And you've had movies come out since then. But more importantly, you have this thriving community of fans. I mean, there's 135 people right now on this live stream. People are still as passionate about it as they were back then. What do you think it is that keeps everybody so involved and so the show's so beloved?
Like the involvement. That's great. It's a great question. I'm not really sure why, except
Should we ask the fans? That's you guys.
I think that the people who were of an age to see it when they were young, now that they're adults, it's kind of easier to it's easier to the people that are of an age to make their own art and kind of write their own stuff and participate in online discussions about stuff. The social media, they're primed for it because they loved it as a kid and now they can talk about it as adults. And I've tried to keep it going. I think Hey Arnold is by far the most beloved thing I've ever done, and so that motivates me to keep making stories. Also, I have to say that it's also kind of the most realistic show that I've made. It's just sort of about a modern life in a northern city with a bunch of kids running around, and the characters are really, we've made so many episodes, they're all really well established. So I think that's why it'd be so easy to make more Hey Arnold, because it is beloved, and the characters have a long way to go. I mean, when we made the Jungle movie in 2017, Arnold and Helga kind of ended it sort of becoming to be a couple. And so that's what the fans are like, come on, how about some of the stuff with them as a couple? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Nickelodeon may turn it on and then we may do more. So
that's the
in the meantime,
reboot right
like
there.
I said, I in my own Instagram feed, I kind of continue those adventures and just do my own art and kind of, tell my own stories, because it was something I really felt like doing during the pandemic.
And that's been awesome. It's been so fun to watch. Not, the few show creators are as engaged with their, did I lose you?
Hey.
Few creators are as engaged as you are with their fan base and actively creating their own content just on the side as a hobby. So I know that people are very grateful for that. And it helps explore the world.
Would imagine
expand it.
If you feel like it's something that you really love enough to make art about it, and to I don't know, all the crafty stuff, build things, sew things. I think there could be nothing more fun than seeing that I posted it, and kind of was like, hey, look at these cookies from Chile.
Yeah.
or
if you guys
and there's themes even. I mean, there's so many tattoos. Sorry, Alicyn, go ahead.
No, it's okay. We have a delay, so I think I'm interjecting after you've said it, and we have a little bit of a delay, but that's okay. What were you saying?
I think it must be really, I can't think of anything more gratifying than to kind of make some sort of Arnold art and then see that I posted it,
Yeah.
It must be really cool. It's cool for me too, man. I love seeing the characters being alive, they're doing all this stuff out there. People have tattoos on their arms, and so obviously that just kind of keeps all the characters alive.
I would appreciate it if anybody that has some artwork, or Clara, your tattoo, if you guys at me in your picture, if you have a picture in your timeline, I would love to share it to my stories, just to get, just to show the range
Oh,
and
good.
depth
Yeah.
of
What a great
everybody's
idea,
art.
Alicyn.
That'd be super fun. Gosh, we talked a lot. I don't want to, I know we have about 20 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we get on to some of the other things that I wanted to talk about. We can come back to Hey Arnold as well.
Yeah.
But there was an interesting story that always stuck in my head, which was your pitch for Dinosaur Train at PBS, and how you came in and you had the song that you had written with Jim Lang. And so I was wondering if you could kind of share that story.
Yeah. Yeah, all the pitching of these shows is always sort of like, they become kind of, they grow in the telling, for one thing, because when I went to, I had told Linda Semensky, who is the head of kids programming at PBS and has been there for more than 10 years now as well. And when she left Toon Network, I said, hey, if you're going to PBS and you're going to be doing preschool, I have a great idea for a preschool show. My son, you know, he had a bunch of dinosaurs, he had a bunch of trains, and I would watch him in his play putting little dinosaur families on trains, and, you know, on the couch, just kind of like making them go. And I could hear him talking in his little voice, like, we're all going on the train. And I was like, man, if you put dinosaurs on a train, that would just be like, you know, when chocolate met peanut butter. And I've got to sell this idea. And I told Linda about it, and she said, yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm just getting over to PBS, and let me be there for a couple of years and kind of get the lay of the land. And when I feel like I'm able to kind of develop my shows for the air, I'll let you know. And she did. She called me back in a couple of years and said, all right, I'm ready now. You want to do that Dinosaur Train thing? And I said, yeah. And by then I was at Henson I was helping story edit on one of their PBS shows called Sid the Science
Kid.
Joe Purdy and I were there. And we were both, you know, two old Arnold guys, you know, working at Henson now. And she said, that'd be perfect. You know, Henson can be the studio, and we have a great, really long relationship with Henson. And you can be the creator. And yeah, you know, get a pitch together and come to Washington, D.C. and pitch it to me. And so Hallie Stanford and I from Henson flew to D.C. and I had a couple little pictures of art. They were like this big, you know, and one was Buddy and Tiny sitting down a little bit from the nest at Pteranodon Terrace. You could see Mom feeding the other two kids. And the other one was Buddy and Tiny getting on the dinosaur train and Mom leaning out. And it was, you know, the train cars had the long necked brachiosauruses poking out, and there was a big T-Rex in there. And I had those two pieces of art, and I said, and there's a song. And then I played them a CD that Jim Lang and I had made in his studio the day before, the demo that I made where I sing it and play the guitar. And they played it and they were like, oh, it's great. Great meeting. And then we left, and then Linda called me the next day and said, oh man, everyone's singing the Dinosaur Train song around the office. I was like, really?
Dinosaur Train.
Yeah, you know, we played it over and over again. And so I was like, this is so great. My song, you know, this song kind of hooked them. And also, I got to say, you know, I did songwriting over the years on Hey Arnold and stuff, but it was not that easy. You kind of had to sell, you had to have a really good reason for a song at Nickelodeon, kind of in that older age group. But at PBS, making shows for preschoolers, there's songs all the time. So it kind of, my songwriting career began, and it started with that Dinosaur Train song. And when we got to make the pilot and we finished it and it was time to put it all together, I was like, I wonder if they're going to say, okay, who's really going to sing the main title song? You know, like, what real singer is going to do it? And they never did. They were cool with my original vocal, although I know we kind of retook everything after that demo, but it's me singing. And that's the other thing. Now I like, once in a while I'll sing something. Same with Ready, Jet, Go, the next show that I made. I'm like, well, man, I'm singing it because, you know, it's a good idea. Your own theme song.
That
you know,
sweet,
sing your own
sweet
theme
residual.
song. Yeah, and the Dinosaur Train theme song is played all over the world. Incredible number of people of views. I cherish the other language versions that I have of the Dinosaur Train theme song. The Russian version is hysterical,
Oh my God.
and
I'll have to find that.
I just it's highly recommended. Try to get in the songwriting business too. It's as you know, it's a great gig, and
It's
my
check this out.
musicianship has certainly improved over the last 10 years. And I credit Jim Lang a lot for that too. Jim has been a music mentor for me forever.
Do you see this, Craig? Do you see this? It's
Oh my God, there it is.
It's my Dinosaur Train poster. It's hanging on the
Yeah,
wall
I
of my
can see it when you're
studio.
zooming in.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh, I'm
amazing.
so glad. I
That's so
remember when we
fun.
made those.
Yeah, that
Was
was,
that something you picked up from your visit?
I think it was like, yeah, I think it was a long time ago. I think I've had that for a while. I don't think it was from the last time. Um, well, I want to be able to get to a couple. We had some really great questions come in from Instagram. So thank you everybody that submitted a question in advance. Um,
Yeah,
one
you bet. I can see they've been
one thing
rolling by.
yeah, yeah, and there's even more. I know there's a lot of questions in the question box too. So, um, somebody asked, how do you feel the age of digital has changed animation?
It's changed a lot. I've been working in animation since the 1980s. So, do the math. I've been nearly 40 years from when I started working in Portland, which was all film and analog, analog recording tape, film. And when I came to Hollywood to work on Pee-wee, even they were still shooting that on film. And when we started Rugrats, we were shooting the first seasons of Rugrats on film, if you can believe it. And
Wow.
we cut those shows on a flatbed editing table, old school, where they would take the film and cut it on a frame splicer and tape it up, and so if you can imagine how much I've seen the business change, it's changed radically at least 2 or 3 times in the time I've been doing it. There've been really high times and then big crashes, and then it starts back up again. And I would say what's going on now, with even more than the fact that all the animation is digital, which is a significant change. And you can see really cool digital stuff now where it's completely put together digitally, but it still has a kind of a cool analog vibe, like Kid Cosmic, the new
Yeah.
show that Craig
Oh,
McCracken's
it's
got
so
on
good.
Netflix.
Yeah.
It looks really pencily, and brushy. It has a kind of a dry brushy and pencily look, and he's purposefully made his color choices be like it's printed on pulpy paper, like comic strips.
Hmm.
And so, even though it's digital, there are ways to make digital look like anything you want. And the same thing with claymation that I did so long ago in Portland and in LA. They make stuff look like you see all CGI, all computer animated stuff that looks like clay. It looks like it's been poked with fingers. So, it's like I do love the old school. I really remember it. I remember I did all my work in pencil and paint, and never worked digitally. But I've had to, just because of the nature of the work and the assignments that I get. I picked up, I work digitally in Photoshop on a Cintiq and draw in digitally all the time. But I still keep a scrapbook all the time. I just have a sketchbook handy, and work in colored pencil and ink a lot. And I do a little bit of painting too, because I like it. I just like to keep a hand in it. And the thing with, I feel like I should have a hand in all the new techniques too, because that's where it's going, man. And I think even bigger than the all digital revolution in animation is the way stuff is being seen now too, the way we're streaming everything, and how that's going to break down ideas of like, oh, I got to tune into my show once a week. It'll be like, just go find it and view it on YouTube or Netflix or any one of these other giant streamers. So the world just changes and changes, and I
Yeah,
just try to
I
keep a
was
hand in it.
the binge mentality. Somebody had posted on Craig McCracken's Instagram page like 3 days after Kid Cosmic came out, like, I just finished the season. And I was like, Damn, you watched a lot of TV these past few days, but people love a show and then that binge, like you just watch it all at once. It's so things can be and
Weird, huh?
yeah, and then they are airing sort of chronologically, which sometimes that's a problem if the show's written kind of chronologically and it's airing out of order. I was talking to
Yeah.
Mitch Watson about the Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. It's a serial show that aired all out of order. It's kind of crazy. Um,
See, that's
yes,
crazy. And that when I was working Hey Arnold and we were doing
uh-oh.
You there? Hello?
I know. I can hear you now.
I'm here, but Alicyn is frozen.
Am I frozen?
I'll start. When I was oh, there we go. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
When I was first making Hey Arnold and we made episodic TV, it was really with the idea that kids would see it all out of order. And so we didn't try to change the story like that, have big season arcs, because we were just knew they were all going to be rerun in random order. And I think it's really different now. If you think of a brand new series coming out with 10 episodes that are all going to be streamed at once, now it's kind of on people to make it serial and have it have a season arc, and then if you get another season, you're going to take it to the next level, and so on. And people will see it out of order, and they'll just have to deal with it.
Deal with it. Yes, let me see. So somebody asked, did you always know Arnold's last name was Shortman, or was it something Phil said that clicked?
Yeah, it was one of those things. When we started the show, Arnold did not have a last name, and many characters didn't, and we would just kind of add them as needed. The first one was Helga Pataki. Helga G. Pataki happened right away. It just seemed right, and we loved the sound of it. Helga G. Pataki, she'd say, and then after that, we were one by one going, okay, what Stinky Peterson and Harold Berman, Eugene Horowitz, and so on. We one by one gave names to these characters. Phoebe Heyerdahl, and I would come up with a little backstory for each one. And Arnold resisted it the longest, and it became a joke. We didn't really have a last name for him, so we would do jokes where it was meta, and it kind of commented on the fact that people didn't know his last name. And we even had that song, well, won't you please tell me what your last name is, from Arnold, you crazy cat, that song. And so finally, though, far into the series, I'd say season 4, Tim Parsons, who's one of our directors, said, Craig, I got it. I got the perfect last name for Arnold, because Grandpa's been calling him that the whole time. I'm like, what, Short Man? He's like, yeah, Shortman, Arnold Shortman. And like, that's genius. Let's call him Arnold Shortman. But by then, the series was almost over, and I really was like, I would want to do an episode where you found out what his last name was, because that would be funny. And but we kind of ran out of series, and I thought, well, if I ever get a chance, I will find a funny way to let everybody know that's his last name. And I got the chance 14 years later when we made the Jungle movie. And I went to Nickelodeon when they were saying, do you want to come in and reboot Arnold and give it a new life? I said, yeah, there's 3 things that the fans want. One, they want to know where are his parents? What happened to his mom and dad? 2, they want to know what's his last name? And 3, how does Arnold really feel about Helga?
Oh, I should.
So those were the 3 things I put in the Jungle movie. And the Shortman scene where you find out his last name is, he's signing his passport. Oh yeah, I see that there.
Yes, I should also. This is a very deep question. It's not a question, you rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we did talk about some of these things. Let me just see. Somebody was asking about your artwork and whether you're thinking about making a book
Oh, I
from
can
your
see
collection
it's from
of
Eric.
work
Hey
drawings.
man, how you doing? Oh, yes, that's from Eric, who we've been following each other on Instagram for a long, long time. I think we used to
Ah,
do draw somethings together too. But uh, yeah, people who've been following my feed know that, especially during the COVID, since a year ago, I've done about 5 sketchbooks where I just fill it up. And I found there was a stretch at the beginning, the first months of the COVID, where I had a lot of time to draw, and I was really kind of inspired by that, and so I I drew and drew, and I would post drawings from the sketchbook, and people would say, and I started doing Arnold stuff too. That would kind of fan service. Like right away, I did a drawing where Arnold's at the computer, and it says Helga has not yet joined the chat. And if you looked in the back of his room up at the top of the skylight, she was looking in the window. So that was why she wasn't at the chat. And that led to them sending each other letters too. But people would say, "Are you going to put all these in a book?" And I mean, I really would like to. I talked to the publishing people at Nickelodeon about it, and there was some interest, but that was last summer. I don't know where that went. So I mean, if it came to that, if it's through Nickelodeon, that would be great. It'd be ideal. And if it's not, I guess maybe I'll just get the right to do it myself and kind of publish. I would love to publish some kind of book of, especially the sketchbooks. I think that they were kind of special. I'm still doing them. I'm halfway through number 13 right now.
wow. That since
Yeah, although that number actually started a couple years before the Coco. I think it was about
okay,
5 of them were during the last year.
that's great. We talked about some of these questions. Someone is asking, was Helga inspired by Frida Kahlo?
Oh well, yeah, here it was more like this, because when I first drew Helga, I wasn't thinking Frida Kahlo when I started, but I have to say, I knew as soon as I had it, I'm like, wow, Helga is going to be that rare thing, a famous character with a monobrow, And I thought, well, there's Frida Kahlo, and there's really only a few others, right? And so I did think of that, like, well, Helga's going to be kind of like Frida Kahlo. And then I saw somewhere in the last, there's the thing I love about Frida Kahlo is she's so well documented. There's so many millions of pictures of her, and all of her paintings they're everywhere, and they're really iconic. And they're the kind of thing, if you could go to like the Met, there would be like a bunch of cool Frida Kahlo like mugs and hats and shirts and notebooks. So she's that kind of a character. And I somewhere in there I saw a photo of her as a little girl, and she had an enormous bow on, and it was like, oh, it's Helga. And then I thought, well, that's cool. And I posted it, and I'm like, Frida equals Helga equals Helga. And people then were like, oh, so Frida Kahlo inspired Helga. But yeah, they're sisters.
They're sisters. That's funny. That's a good story. So Temurudar, sorry, I've mispronounced your name, is wondering, you've done voiceover work, you've sang the theme songs. Have you ever gotten any formal training?
Oh, no. I mean, I think I learned how to act from watching cartoons.
Yeah,
Like I really did watch a lot of cartoons as a kid. And, most, I'm sure you did too, Alicyn.
I did.
And you listen to, I think I learned all my ideas about how to tell a joke and my cartoon timing from those Warner cartoons that we saw when we were kids.
What did
And,
you watch?
so I think all my acting chops come from that. Oh, I watched, they showed Bugs Bunny cartoons throughout my childhood. You could catch it after school where I grew up in Seattle. And also, if not only that, but the Charlie Brown Christmas came on when I was like Charlie Brown's age. And so seeing that very first Charlie Brown special was also a huge influence on me as a child. And I think it influenced Hey Arnold even more than like the Warner cartoons, because if you think about the kind of style of humor of Charles Schulz, where a bunch of children that kind of speak older than they really are, and everyone's got like a little adult mind. I think that influenced me even more than Warner's. But I mean, in terms of timing and what we think of as truly funny, what we think of as funny music and funny sounds, that I really think the Warner cartoons were a big influence. And so I don't have any formal acting, but I've done so much voiceover work. You know, I always read with the other actors, and we will read our scripts too. So I always play Arnold, and I play Buddy Tyrannosaurus, the main character of Dinosaur, the main character of Jet. So those all three of my shows, I take the character, I write for them, and I play them when we read. And so my idea about how to do a line comes from all those years of recording actors. And so I don't have any acting training, but people come at that stuff from all walks of life. You know, there's a million ways to get to it. And if anything, my whole career has been like really funny random hookups, and like I realized I'd kind of backed into something and went, wow, here I am. You know, starting as a clay animator certainly gave me an alternative approach. And I did not get trained in any animation school or anything like that. But a lot of people they just come from everywhere. LA just is like a big magnet. We all come and meet each other, and you know, some key hookups at the beginning. And I'm really glad I met Klasky and Chupo, which introduced me to Nickelodeon and so on.
Yeah, I feel that maybe that opportunity is less available now because there are so many animation schools filing in, and yet there's more animation than ever before. So, you know, I mean, I think the bottom line is if you're passionate enough and you keep at it, you'll find a way in.
Yeah, I think so too. There seems to be more work than ever in a way. I mean, and it's probably just as hard to kind of break in, but there's a lot going on. And I think that cool opportunity to make your own content is more than ever too.
Yeah.
When I started, I had to shoot stuff film, and I had to go to a film lab, and I had to figure out how to cut it and mix it and stuff. And now people have, you know, iMovie and GarageBand, and people are making stuff on their phones, and all the content that people are making, you know, instantaneously it seems like it's a much easier time to make a cartoon about something. I have one idea, like a dream project for me would be to have a website that has cartoons that I'm making that are all desktop things I'm just making on the spot. And I'm just trying to break into that now. I mean, all these years I've been busy making stuff, but in a more conventional way for a company with a pipeline, and you know, we get an order and we've got to make a season's worth of stuff. And on my own, I have not really done it. But all the drawing I've been doing in this last year through the Coco, and the ideas that have happened, like a really cool thing happened just last month when somebody she had sung a song from Hey Arnold called "Look Up" that that Grandma sings in a first season episode, but she sang her own really cool a cappella version, and Jim Lang heard it, you know, because she tagged him on Instagram, and he got a hold of her and said, hey, sing that for me again, but like a little bit more of a clean version, and send it to me, and I'll back it with piano, which he did. And then he sent it to me and he said, hey, check this out. And I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to make a little video of it. So I finally started a YouTube channel last month where I just posted this first video, which was me drawing that scene that the song is based on, like in time lapse, and then I kind of like build it, and I used some original Arnold art that I kind of panned in on, and so it kind of had a little mix of traditional Hey Arnold art and my own sketchbook stuff, and kind of the fun of doing things digitally now. That just was like, hey, okay, I'll jump in. I'm gonna start making stuff because I really would love to make my own stupid desktop content that is things that I think are funny, like and just like what if I made that into a cartoon? And so I still have not really, I don't know, I stay busy and I kind of don't really make the time to teach myself these skills, but I'll get there.
What's your
I'm
YouTube?
going to start posting.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's just called Craig Bartlett.
Craig Bartlett.
And there was only one thing on there. So my first posting, which is just called Look Up, Grandma's Song.
Look up. So there you go, guys. Look it up. Look up, look up.
Look it up.
And are you on TikTok?
And I promise to make more. No, I'm not on TikTok.
It's fun.
Instagram. I still kind of linger on Facebook, even though I've really kind of put all my energy into Instagram now. I feel like Instagram is the place where it's the easiest place to post the stuff I'm doing, you know, day-to-day sketches and stuff. It's a little easier for people to comment. Yeah. It's all right. It's a visual medium that I appreciate, and I will. I'm gonna make a goal of trying to make some kind of little video posting every month or so. So Lang has been busy making really cool kind of post Arnold music, and he'll just send me. He'll be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" You know, it'll be some cool version of an older song, and we both like that aspect. Here's what I love about YouTube. You know those ones that are kind of like somebody studying. You know what I mean? Like I forget who first did this, but it's just someone sitting there like turning the pages of a book while some super chill, like an hour of super chill music plays. I kind of dig it. I think there would be something very Arnoldy about that, and so I'm going to start with like a 5-minute cue that that Lang wrote. In fact, it's actually a later iteration of that tune called Groove Remote, which you might remember. It's the sad music that plays. You first is bummed out about Lockjaw the turtle, and he goes up to his room, and it's an electric piano that goes da 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 da. Remember that one? It's called Groove Remote. Oh yeah, people they remember.
Yeah.
That's been a favorite of mine since forever. It's in the Arnold movie. We did a version of it. It shows up in a couple of episodes, and the new version is like really long, it kind of spacey, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I'll put cool visuals up to it, and do the same idea where it's like, you know, breaking down the process of how I do a drawing, and eventually maybe I'll be animating too. I mean, I want to I want to animate stuff myself, and I've never really had the. I mean, the last time I was really animating by myself was when I was doing claymation shorts, 30-some years ago.
It's so nice to be at a place where you can seek out creative fulfillment and not just.
Yeah, and I would imagine that's probably happening for a lot of people, that we're all kind of stuck in our offices, and you know, luckily we have the tools. We've got all the computers and software to create stuff. So I'm finding I'm kind of getting more of that done than I usually do.
Well, we love it. I think Little Green Lottle sums it up best when she says it's super inspiring, and the way that you create and the way that you then share the inspiration by inspiring others. It just feels so good. So thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, Craig. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks, Alicyn. It was great to see you after all this time.
I know. I feel like we could talk for hours, but I have to go parent now, unfortunately. Yes, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in from all over the world. Gabby and Danielle and Aya. You guys, thank you so much. It wouldn't be as much fun without you here live. I will be posting the replay, so stay tuned for that. And next week we have George Whittam, who is an audio engineer. He's going to be teaching us about home recording. And then we have Dwayne Capizzi, who is the showrunner and creator of the new Netflix series Carmen Sandiego. He's also worked on Scooby-Doo and a lot of classic cartoons. So tune in for that in 2 weeks. We have Rob Paulson coming up and Hope Levy, both voice actors. So it's going to be a really fun show, and I love having you guys here. So thank you so much for watching tonight. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, everybody.
Words of wisdom? I feel like you should get out your guitar and be like, Dinosaur Train! Dinosaur Train!
All right, that's what I'll do. All right, here we go.
Oh, woo!
Dinosaur Train! Dinosaur Train! Ride, 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 ride. Dinosaur Train.
Woo! Ah!
Thanks, everybody. I'm
Thanks,
sorry I was not
guys.
able
See
to
you
like
next
read people's questions. I would only see it once in a while, but I'll rewatch it and maybe I can answer online on Instagram. So thanks,
All right.
Alicyn.
Thank you. Bye.